What's up, fellow grounded travelers? Happy Sunday.
Hi there.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Does everybody have their coffee, tea, cocoa, whatever it is you're drinking?
So just want to say hi, Ronnie Dove. He's in Alvarado, Texas. And then Gallivanting Gals, thanks so much for stopping in real quick, even though you won't be able to make the time right now. Really awesome of you guys to just give us a quick shout. Hey, Alan A. And I know Derek just responded to you. We do have... Derek has his carafe of coffee right off screen here. That's like a French press that we have.
Don't worry, I'm drinking it from a cup though.
Yeah.
Not from the carafe.
Not straight out of the
I was gonna get
spout.
one of those like whirly straws, just kind of like, but no.
And I have a green tea right here, but it's like still way too hot, so I'll probably start drinking it in like 15 minutes or so.
And I'm drinking it out of one of my favorite travel mugs, my Wales Kimru mug. Simru.
And hey Graham, great to see you on. This is really exciting to have you from England. And then Lori Sims, morning, just finished the newspaper in time for your live chat. Oh wow, I wonder which newspaper it is, but thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us. Darian, welcome.
Hi,
Hello,
Darian.
sir.
I don't know if Darian's in Florida or Georgia right now, but yeah, you guys can all...
Or in Georgia.
Shout out and tell us where you're at too, so everybody else knows. I feel like we kind of, at least for the people that have already joined, kind of know where y'all are at, but good for everybody else to hear.
Mark, welcome, sir. Hope you're doing well. It's great speaking to you and Darian and everybody yesterday on that
And
Zoom
Terry
chat.
Finley was on there too. So,
Terry.
Really fun to have the Finleys on today. Specifically Mark saying hi. Eric Brown, great to see you. Good morning. Hey, Katie Smith. Awesome to have you on, as always.
Welcome, Katie.
Travel Best Destinations, Ryan Donahue. Oh my goodness, what a crew we have here today.
Yeah.
So thanks, everybody. We have a really great group, I think. So, okay. We wanted to probably give everybody a little bit more time to join in the fun, but just wanted to start chatting quickly about what we thought we could all share about this morning. So specifically we wanted to talk about travel planning, trip planning tips, and how we do it, and we can talk about how you guys do it too, and then also packing tips. So once you actually have that trip in the books, how to pack for it. So hopefully that sounds good to you guys too.
Yeah.
And let us know if not, I suppose. We'll pivot.
Boo.
But I guess hopefully we're all on the same page that would be a really cool topic.
Yeah.
I think we're all kind of stuck in the planning phase right now, but yeah.
Because you can always plan a trip. I mean, figure out what you want to do, what you want to see, where you want to go next, depending on what time frames you have, and just don't book anything yet. So.
Yeah, and definitely with packing too. Graham, you just made me laugh. Roll or fold? The question on everybody's lips.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
That's a question that...
It actually kind of depends on where we're going.
It's a hot topic, actually, because people feel very passionate about one or the other usually.
I've done both.
Yeah, and some people, well, Brenna, who I don't think's on right now, my friend Brenna sometimes rolls and then puts things into a packing cube.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we typically use packing cubes, and I was thinking about making a video soon about how exactly we pack with packing cubes. But I really am partial to compression packing cubes. They're a little bit more expensive than regular ones, but they definitely save a lot more space even than the regular packing cubes, because they compress everything down. Like all the air gets sucked out, and they become like one ball of clothes, basically.
Yeah. The one downside to them is that they do kind of then take on more of like a rounded shape, so they're a little bit harder to pack, just in terms of, they don't just fit nicely like stacked and all that stuff as much, because they kind of like bulge and whatnot.
Sort of. I feel like I can like squeeze things in because of the rounded shape a little bit more too. Like sometimes my makeup brushes, I'll just kind of shove them in.
My makeup brushes, I mean, I just don't bring them. When you look like this,
when you look
hard.
like Derek, you don't need makeup.
Yeah. Makeup doesn't help.
You look beautiful, babe. Doesn't he look beautiful? He actually is getting more and more tan, I feel, because we have really nice weather right now in Chicago, and he's been laying out on our deck. So he's starting to get a little bit of a summer glimmer.
More just going for my walks.
Going for your walks. Yes, we watched a comedy special with a guy that said his neighbor, when he was leaving his house, his neighbor started saying, "Oh, are you going for your walk?" And he's like, "My walk? I'm not."
How old am I? Going for my walk.
And Derek kind of has picked that up in quarantine.
Yeah, I was like, well, with quarantine, I do have my walk.
Yeah, it's like the daily walk.
I just walk down the street until I can't walk anymore, and I turn around.
Then he's going to watch his shows.
My stories. They're my stories. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have stories, guys. Except for the ones I tell you.
We have plenty of stories about travel planning that we can get into.
So that was a weird tangent. So getting back to, the topic at hand, which is how do we plan trips and whatnot. So I think that, the first thing that we do, and this kind of gets into packing and stuff, which is why we'll pick that up here later, but the first thing we do is we look at kind of like what are our parameters for travel, and I'd say the two biggest parameters being what's your budget and what amount of time do you have to take it, right?
Yeah.
So do you have a 4-day weekend, or do you have 2 weeks to go somewhere? That's going to drastically change our opinion on where we would want to go.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that we maximize like our time on the ground in any given place, exploring, like interacting with the culture, the people, the food. So we don't want to spend too much time traveling to a place if we don't have enough time ultimately on the ground.
Sorry, there's somebody that just joined from Wales, so I had to give them a quick shout out. Hey Gareth, great to have you on.
This is one of my favorite mugs.
Big Wales fans, so.
I bought it in a very touristy shop in, I don't know if it was Llandudno.
Might have been Conway.
Betws-y-Coed. It was probably in Betws-y-Coed.
Yes.
Actually, when we went to Snowdon and did Snowdon, which was awesome. Highly recommend it if you have not been to Wales. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome place. Klaus, welcome. Welcome, sir. Okay, we got a great group going. So, we're talking about...
Sorry I interrupted. You were talking about travel planning. We're going to be talking about travel planning tips today and packing tips. So, go on.
Yeah, so we, so that's our whole thing, right? Is you look at how long do you have in a place and what's your budget? Because that's going to... For us, for instance, we were looking at a number of different things that we wanted to do this summer that aren't happening now, but we were looking at, Australia versus South Africa, because we had planned to do a longer trip, maybe 10 days to 2 weeks. So we had the time to do a longer flight. And then it gets into budget and which one did we think would be less expensive to go to? So we were starting to lean towards Australia because we thought Australia would ultimately be less expensive than doing South Africa, because if we go to South Africa, we want to go on safari and, things like that are much more pricey. So, that's why we were leaning towards Australia. As opposed to, if we only had a 4-day trip, that's probably
go to Australia on a 4-day
probably not going to do Australia because you're going to spend 2 of those days in the air, if not longer. So, that's just how we think about time.
Yeah, and just bringing it a little bit closer to home for everybody else. You kind of have to think about, let's say you're doing a long weekend trip, which I think is probably what a lot of people are going to be looking at this summer, regardless of what state or country that you live in. Just as you're trying to figure out, navigate the work situation across a lot of different industries. Mm-hmm. So I think specifically, a lot of people are going to be looking really close to home and figuring out what that means to them, because before the world was your oyster. Now you might have a little bit more limitations than you're used to. So with a long weekend trip, for example, let's say you're looking at, we can't leave for Memorial Day weekend, so maybe let's just use 4th of July as an example, when hopefully all of our states are going to be open. If you're looking at a 4th of July holiday weekend away with a car versus flying, you're going to be looking really, really close by, most likely, so that way you optimize the days and you're not just constantly in the car the whole time. Good morning, Visos Travel. Anyway, so then sorry, I got like a little bit distracted there. But with if you're doing a 4-day weekend and you're trying to, say, go from Chicago all the way to Mexico, that's going to be a lot of time that you're just spending like at the airports and the air, that sort of thing. So just looking at, you know, what your priorities are. If your priority is, I want to get away, I want to get to a sunny beach location, then, you know, you might opt for a little bit more travel time. If your priority is just, I want to do something that's different from my house, you might be looking a little bit more at like a Saugatuck, Michigan or something like that. You might be that trade-off of you still get a beach, but you might not have like the warm weather that you would have with Mexico. So with planning, that there's always looking at those trade-offs, and then looking at budget and figuring out what makes the most sense to you. Then you, for us, we would use Google Maps or Google Flight tools to really nail down what the specifics are for planning. What else? You said you wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, so Derek's like, after we do that, Eliz typically takes over, so I do.
Yeah, I was like, I don't plan things. Come on. No, I mean, so once we know like the destination where we're going to, I kind of let her take over because she has more opinions about a lot of these things.
And I'm the kind of person that I'll use a lot of different resources, whether it's online travel forums, TripAdvisor, guidebooks, just other people's recommendations, that sort of thing. Maybe blast out to Facebook like, hey, we are looking at going to, I don't know, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Has anybody else been there? And what would you recommend? What hotels do you stay in? That sort of thing. And sometimes it's really nice to have those first-hand recommendations because people will be really, really honest. Yeah. And with a resource like TripAdvisor, it can be very helpful, especially just figuring out what the options are. But you don't know if it's the people that are writing the reviews are the types of people that have the same opinions as you. So
yeah. I mean, when I go to those sites, I like to look at like the 3-star reviews. I don't like looking at the 1-star or the 5-star. I just figure like those are bought and paid for by either the competition at the 1-star rating or like by like the actual hotel at the 5-star. So 3 stars where I find it to be like honest, and like that's where you see people like have, you know, things around like, oh, the beds were super comfortable, but you know there was like a ice machine out my door, so it was too loud. I'm like, all right, well, I don't care about the ice machine because we'll ask for room not by the ice machine or whatever. So like little things like that, you know, you can like find nuggets like, oh, the beds are great, awesome.
Or if they're talking about street noise, maybe the reviews can actually differ, and I've found, especially in urban areas, based on the days that people stay. So let's say a destination is really popular on weekends for like bachelorette parties or something like that, then reading reviews that speak specifically like, I stayed from Friday to Sunday and it was loud, might help us pivot our plans to make it so that way if we really want to stay at that destination or at that hotel, we might stay during the week. So
but yeah, so you know, so we look at all that kind of stuff. We like to like crowdsource stuff though, like from you guys and whatnot. So like we'll put things out there on like our Instagrams and stuff saying like, hey, we're going to Scotland on a road trip, you know, what should we do and see, like what are your must-dos, and we'll get a lot of really cool, you know, feedback that way, which is really cool. So if any of you guys follow us on Instagram and we're asking for advice on destinations, please, we actually do want the advice, so please send it back our way. That'd be great. We love responding to things like that when we see it out there from friends and stuff that are looking at booking a trip. So
one thing that was really funny, I forget which trip it was Amsterdam. So we did that when we were planning Amsterdam, probably in February. We went to Amsterdam in mid-March, as we've talked about a lot on these live streams. And on my Instagram, I said, hey, does anybody have Amsterdam recommendations? Like, write them in here. And I got not too many responses. But then once we actually touched down on the ground in Amsterdam, people were like, oh, you should go to this place, you should go to this place. And I was like, where were you guys a month ago?
Yeah, like once they actually saw we were in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, do this.
So definitely,
yeah.
if you start to see people asking about a destination on Instagram or Facebook, and you have recommendations, it's going to be really helpful to give them in advance to those people so that they can plan around it and really try to get to those spots.
Yeah, I love the people who, especially people who have like gotten their MBAs, I feel, because a lot of people when they go get their MBAs end up getting, they go on all these like international trips and they go to all these different destinations around the world, and what they end up doing is have these, like, because they're all like super like type A type people, they have like just PDF documents full of like recommendations for like hotels and bars, and it'll have like write-outs of like, if you're in Hong Kong and you want the best speakeasy, this is the place to go to. And it's like, I love those, and I'm like, dude, just send me all of the PDFs that you have of these locations so I have them in my own back pocket, which is pretty fun.
And that's another tip for if you guys have friends that you think might end up going to the same destinations that you've already been to, is if you know that there's a very large possibility somebody will ask you in the future for recommendations, creating like a spreadsheet of, say, the restaurants that you visited, even if it's just lunch spots, and like what you really liked at those places. Just quick and dirty spreadsheet of what you would rate it, that sort of thing. That can be something that you can just ship off super easily via email when somebody does ask you.
Well, even better than that, just as, because making a spreadsheet like takes like time and commitment, and I'm the first to tell you I get lazy sometimes.
For Derek.
So
for me, I'm like, oh no, it's like,
she's type A, she'll do it.
That's a really
great.
normal activity for me.
What I do instead is I like going into my Google Maps and like saving places on my Google Maps, so like I can then like go in and say like, oh, in South America, what were the places I really liked, and then I can just zoom in on like, oh, in Buenos Aires, what were some of the things I really liked, and then I can go in and like see some of those destinations and say like, oh, Tegi, which is a bad example because that's a restaurant, and right now it's
it's
closed.
But
it was very good, and so I can remember it and whatnot. Which is, when people ask where should they, go see a sunset, I'm like, oh, Puente de la Mujer, which is a cool bridge. So that's how I try to remember places and like give advice to people. Is like, oh, here's the places I've been to and what I enjoyed.
Totally.
But
and that makes sense, especially as you're going along to mark it all off. I do it in maps.me a lot, just so that my Google Maps, when I open it, isn't just covered in in starred places. But yeah, I think that's a really good tip.
Or like if you're going to Amboise and you want a really cool place with a view of the castle, go to La Pisserie. It's so good.
There you go. So
you heard it here first, folks, and maybe from Rick Steves. I don't know.
So just want to catch up with everybody. Graham's saying, do you squish out the air or vacuum them out? The ones
Squish.
The ones that we have, I don't think you can vacuum them.
No.
We have the Eagle Creek compression packing cubes, so you kind of have to like really. I don't know. I feel like I struggle
like
to get it closed if I have it packed to the brim. But yeah, it's a lot of like squish, zip.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a space saver. So maybe I'll do a tutorial on how I pack once people kind of are starting to pack again.
Yeah. So I mean, while we're on it around like packing cubes and like why do you use packing cubes versus not? So, or when do you use them and when do you not? I typically use them on anything more than like a day trip. So anything more than 1 or 2 days in a location, I will pack, in packing cubes. It just makes life much easier to like organize everything. Whether it's for business or for fun. So even if I'm just like going to see my parents for like a long weekend or something like that, we'll use packing cubes.
Yep.
And it's just also, it's very easy, regardless if you're going to like a new place every day or if you're going to stay in a place for a while, like they're very, you know, handy to have, because even if you're in one place for like a week and you can kind of unpack, you just put your packing cube in a drawer and then you just pull your clothes out of it. So like you keep everything organized, it's still in the drawer, it's out of your backpack. And when you do have to pack up again, you just zip it up, throw it into your, you know, luggage and take off, you know. The worst thing for me, like when you're doing like a ton of stops in like a week, so you do like a 10-day trip and you're seeing 4 different places, to me I'm always like stressed out about like the packing that happens in between. And packing cubes is a lot easier, and you know you're not forgetting something, because you know, it just all goes right in your suitcase.
Yeah. One of the things that when we did 3.5 weeks in South America in just carry-ons, and we used the compression packing cubes that, yes, Katie Smith, they will change your life. The Eagle Creek compression packing cubes. When we did that, we could tell like if we were forgetting to pack man,
that closed really easy.
This closed too easily. There's something missing. Like we left something somewhere.
Well, and unfortunately, like that happened to me towards the end, actually, because we left Bariloche, and I was like, man, my luggage packed really easy this time. I must be getting really good at this.
Right.
When we got to the next place, I'm like, no, I was missing like shirts.
He
and
left
stuff.
like 3 shirts somewhere.
No, that's also when we went to a Lavatoria or whatever, so like a place to like wash your clothes. And you know, I think that after that,
yeah, I can't say it.
Lavaderia.
I think neither of us are saying it correctly.
I don't know.
Lavaderia. Sorry.
Something. Place to wash your clothes. So you give it to the lady and she washes it and gives it back to you. And I think that some clothes went missing at some point during that. And I don't think it was like intentional or anything like that. I just think, and they even tell you like check your stuff, make sure we gave you back everything, something didn't get like stuck in like a dryer or something like that. And we were just so like trying to get to the next thing that I didn't even pay attention. And
he just thought he was packing better.
Donated some clothes somewhere. It's good though.
Yeah,
it's fine. I didn't need them.
I mean,
and
they're just t-shirts.
And it allowed me to buy tank tops in Mendoza. So
there you go.
We all won. We all won.
We talked about Derek's man tanks in Mendoza on another live stream.
It was so dang hot. Like Mendoza in their summertime, it's like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. It's gross.
Yeah, it was hot.
But with wine, everything is bearable.
Anywho. Back to the topic at hand.
All right, fine. Yes. Eric Brown is saying Australia would be long.
Wait, hold on. So, sorry. I didn't want to move on just quite yet.
Oh,
so,
okay. Sorry. I thought we were moving on.
The one caveat I want to say about the compression packing cubes is if you're packing for business and you have specific materials that wrinkle really easily, you don't want to use them. So what we do when we travel for like leisure, we typically pack certain kinds of materials that are, you know, wrinkle resistant, or like polyester materials that kind of like you can spray real quick with Downy Wrinkle Release and they're just, you know, fine. So in that regard, like I would never pack like a bridesmaid's dress in a compression packing cube or something like that. So just wanted to put that out there, that definitely depends on you know what exactly you're doing about what type of packing. If we were going to like a wedding, we would probably pack very differently.
Well, if we're doing that, so we pack carry-ons for almost all of our travel, but like when we went to Italy for 10 days a few years back for a wedding, you can't pack in a carry-on to a wedding unless you want to wear your suit on the plane, and I'm not going to do that on a red-eye flight to Italy. So, you know, for that you'd carry, you check a bag, and, you know, so we have a nice bag that we can check that's a garment bag, so her dress goes in that, my suit goes in that, and then it's easy. But then you're stuck checking a bag. So if you're going to check one bag, and it's not any more expensive to check 2 bags, you know, maybe we'll take 2 bags with us, and one of those bags will be a wine carry case, and I can bring wine home, which is great.
But that's another element of like planning that we were talking about. So if you do have that like a nicer event or something that would require you to pack more things, or use a garment bag, that sort of thing that you do have to check, then making sure that you're planning accordingly even when you hit the ground. Like you get a car that's big enough to accommodate all of your luggage if you're renting a car, or you know that you can handle bringing that particular bag up flights of stairs if you're taking trains, if you're going to be in a train station. So a lot of people often forget, like, oh, my bags are something that I actually have to think about and include intentionally in my itinerary.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of those cases where just because you can give them 50 pounds in a bag and not have to pay extra doesn't mean that you should. If you don't need to pack 50 pounds worth of extra stuff, maybe you only pack 30 pounds, and then it's a lot easier to just like take it around with you and whatnot. I think that's something to think about. Or maybe you take, if you can check 2 bags because it's 2 people going, each one of you check a smaller bag, and then it's easier to like take around.
What we've done before is we'll check one larger bag and then each have smaller roller bags as well that can attach to the larger bag too, so that way it's not 2 large bags, it's 1 large bag and 2 very manageable bags.
Yes, but but that's the opposite of what I was trying to say, was that maybe if you don't have a big strong man like me to help you like carry the bag. Hey, that's mean.
Love you.
But if you but if that's something that you can't handle a 50-pound bag, you shouldn't check one.
Oh yeah.
You shouldn't take it.
No, that's totally correct.
Right? Like, would you just pack just by yourself a 50-pound bag that weighs 50 pounds?
Never.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Now, if she has me to carry the bag upstairs, yes, she will pack a 50-pound bag.
I mean, I did when I studied abroad, just because there was so many things that I wanted to take.
Yeah.
And that's like a whole different type
That's a whole different... That's like moving somewhere.
Because you're not... Yeah, you're leaving that bag for the most part, at where you're living. You're not constantly taking that around with you.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, yeah.
Again, there's like different things to consider. But... I think it's just all strategic about where you're going, what you're going to do once you get there, how much transit time and transit activity there's going to be, and just packing as light as you can.
Yeah, and that's another thing that actually I'd be curious on what you all have to think about that. But when you're planning a trip that's like a week or 10 days long, how many different destinations are you typically, what's your minimum amount of time in one place? Are you trying to spend at least one day? Multiple nights in a given hotel. I will say that our philosophy has changed over the years. It used to be when we first graduated college, we would, do a trip to Europe, and we would, do like a day and a half in Amsterdam, a day and a half in Bruges, a day and a half in London. Like, we'd try to hit like a bunch of different places. And that's changed a bit because we like spending a little bit longer in like a given hotel because we like to make it feel a little bit more like home.
Yeah.
Unpack our luggage, put it away, like be able to actually like walk around the room. So that it's just a little bit more pleasant. It doesn't feel as like claustrophobic when you're, coming back from a long day of, checking out the town.
And there were just way too many cities that we said we didn't spend enough time in, and we got to a point where we're like, this is crazy. Let's just alter, fewer cities, more meaningful experience in each.
Yeah, I mean, Eliz, up until this last trip to Amsterdam, Eliz had only spent like 2 days in Amsterdam because we spent maybe 2 days and 1 night in Amsterdam. Is that what we did?
Mm-hmm. And one of those was rainy.
Yeah, so even though she had been to Amsterdam, she couldn't say that she like really like got to experience all of Amsterdam and like really take in the culture.
Right. There's still a lot to see, actually.
Yeah.
Because we had to cut our trip short in March. Anyway, I think we can just hear what everybody's weighing in on. So Ronnie's saying, I usually pack using military rolls that my brother showed me. Yeah, I have heard that a lot of the people that have been in like the army and the military have a specific way that they pack.
Yeah, well, because
but they also have specific things.
I did that for when we went to when we did our 3.5 weeks in South America. Mm-hmm. That's how I was packing. So I did that, but then I put the military rolls into packing cubes. So I had like kind of both things going on at once. That's great though, especially because like you can then take that thing and it's like a brick. You could throw it against the wall and it'll stay in a roll because it has like basically you roll it and then you like fold something over so it like kind of like keeps.
Is it
in
like the
place.
Marie Kondo rolls too that stay in place?
It's different.
It's different. I'll have to see somebody's YouTube video.
But yeah, no, those things are great. You know, it basically acts like its own compression cube because it's already taken out all like the extra space.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's awesome.
But we missed Eric Brown up here. So Eric Brown was saying that basically Australia would be perfect for a long time because it's a big flight. But it's a great opportunity to use points to upgrade your flight.
Totally.
If you have them. And I totally agree. I mean, we did that when we went to China.
We upgraded going there.
Yeah, we upgraded our points on our way there. That way that when we landed, we'd be fresh and could, you know, kind of not waste any time with the sightseeing when we landed in Shanghai. So,
which honestly I wasn't anyway. I was still jet lagged, but Derek was fresh.
I was great. I was like, let's go. Let's party. It's going to be a blast. There were days that I just like left her in the room and I'm like, let's go to the bars, you know?
I was so jet lagged that I like put my makeup on wrong, meaning like I put mascara in my eyebrows. It was just, I'd never been more jet lagged in my entire life.
Yeah, no, I felt great. I was drinking on the plane, watching movies, sleeping. It was awesome. It was a great time. I love those long flights. I mean, honestly, like I really enjoy long flights, especially in business class, because those are like the true lie flat seats, good booze.
Yep. Those are enjoyable.
You can watch like 6 movies. It's awesome.
We just, on our trip to Amsterdam, we had an upgraded seat into Delta One, and it was on one of the brand new planes that actually has like sliding doors.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
So that was even better.
Except on the way there, she couldn't figure out how to get the doors to work.
Yeah, but I figured it out on the way home, and it was really nice for even blocking out even more noise.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But we were very lucky on that. We don't pay for business class seats. No. We either upgrade them or luck out on like
yeah, for us it was
tickets.
Like standby.
All right, so Ruth, even traveling within the U.S., the patchwork of regulations and practices within each state makes it more challenging to plan a U.S. road trip this year. I agree. Yeah, I mean, because it kind of depends on what every state is doing in terms of like what they've opened up, what businesses are going on, and whether it's worth going to a place. Because if everything's shut down, why go somewhere? You know, and it's if they are saying like don't come because it's not safe, like you shouldn't be going. So I agree, Ruth. It makes it a lot harder. We're hoping that most things open up over the summer.
We're hoping that there's going to get to a level of consistency across multiple states that makes it a little bit easier to navigate.
Yep.
But right now, I mean, 100% you are correct. For example, in Illinois here, like almost everything is still closed until the end of May, and if you're out in public, you are required to wear a face mask, and that is not the case in a lot of other states right now. So regardless of how everyone is, you have to really think about if you're planning a road trip, when things will be open that you actually want to see.
Yeah, and Viso Travel, thank you very much. Yes, please don't forget to click the like button.
Totally, yes.
Everybody who's on, if you can do that, that's super helpful to us. So
if
we
you
appreciate
like this
it.
video.
If you don't like it,
if you don't like it, please don't put a thumbs down.
Don't put a thumbs down. That's mean.
We're trying to be helpful and talk about travel with all of you guys, so hopefully you guys like it.
But all right, so Karen Mack is saying, I like to find Facebook groups for the particular destinations I'm going to and read the questions and comments. You can get unique recommendations of people who are regulars or who live there. That's actually great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have not done that. So maybe we will start doing that, Karen. That's very smart. I don't know, maybe you do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but not as much as probably we should. I haven't used... I've used more Instagram for finding places that are very popular in destinations and less Facebook lately, so we'll have to pivot that a little bit.
Yeah. So Visos Travel is saying that I use a site called The Travel Secret, and you pay money. I don't know if that's $750 to sign up, but then hotels are always cheaper, sometimes up to 70% off. They also have 5-star hotels in Mexico, for example, for like $700 for a week.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. We'll have to check that out and see what that's like, because that sounds pretty cool. Eric Brown, Ronnie Dove. Okay, so that's the military roles. Yep. Again, rolling your clothes can save a lot of space, which is really great. And if you're packing in like backpacks or something like that that don't accommodate packing cubes for whatever reason, like that can be super helpful as well. Graham is saying that he likes to spend 2 nights, so you get a complete day somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think 2 nights in a given location is a good kind of minimum.
We kind of had to learn that the hard way, like we were saying before, where there was just too many places that we weren't, like, I mean, we would say, oh, well, we went there, but I mean, it was raining the whole day, so we didn't even really get to see everything we wanted to see or something like that. So giving yourself a little bit of leeway with the weather even can help.
I mean, Graham's from the UK, so he's probably like, well, duh, it's going to rain.
If you're going to the UK, there will probably be a rain day.
Yeah, I mean, well, we saw that, especially when we did like our road trip through Scotland, where it's like, all right, weather's going to be, hit or miss. So we there's 2 things with that. One is you just need to kind of shift your mindset that like, just because it's raining doesn't mean you can't get out and like explore and stuff like that. You just might get wet, so you just have to like pack weather appropriate clothing, whether that's like a jacket that's water resistant, umbrellas that are decent and not gonna like go flying, like happened to us in Amsterdam multiple times. When
we went to Isle of Skye in Scotland, we were only there for 1 overnight night, and that was certainly not enough. So
certainly
it's hard to get there. You can't really fly there. You have to fly and then drive. So we say that we want to go back desperately, but it would have been nice to just have a little bit more time when we actually were on the ground there.
We stayed at a really cool spot in Portree, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like fairly centrally located within the Isle of Skye, so like it's you can go north, you can go south or whatever. See Old Man Store and all that stuff.
And good restaurants
it's pretty
there.
Cool. Yeah, good restaurants. Really cute, like colorful houses right along like the water and everything. Good for photography. Really neat spot. Definitely, we'll go back.
Totally.
I know it eventually. But yeah. Mark Lavelle, welcome. How you doing,
I'm guessing
sir? Lovell.
But welcome, Mark Lovell or Lavelle.
Hi from England. We are doing well. We need to make it back to England.
Yeah, we've got a few other UK folks on the line here right now too. So
yep. So we got somebody from Wales. We got somebody from England. You're also from England.
Yeah. So really glad to have you though, and would love to hear just everybody from England's perspective on road trips and packing and everything.
Tezzy, our travel. Hello to you as well.
Hi there. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Great to have you.
All right. So Klaus is saying that he likes to spend 4 days in one place. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If we had the so Klaus, I don't know where you are from, and how much time you get typically to do travel, but we typically, given that we're from the U.S., we don't have a lot of time to go at any given time. So while I would love to spend 4 days in any given location, I think that we're more likely to be on that 2 to 3 days per place, so we can at least try to hit up 2 to 3 cities when we go places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's certain destinations that 4 days would make total sense, like the bigger cities, like a New York City or London, Paris, where there's a lot to see and a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
But for example, when Derek and I went to like Turin, Italy, it probably didn't need 4 days. So just understanding, like looking at TripAdvisor, seeing how many things are listed as like the top attractions, that sort of thing, and planning what can be done in what amount of time. That's really
nothing against Turin, but it's just not.
There wasn't
enough for our kind of travel.
There wasn't enough for tourists to do for probably 4 days, unless you are just really going to live like a local. And if you're going to live like a local,
if you just want to like go to cafes and like hang out, like that's
eat a lot of pizza.
Do that there.
Their pizza was pretty good.
Yeah, the pizza was fine. You could do that. But, for me, for my money, I'd rather spend 4 days in Milan. It's a little bit grander of a city, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you get to go to Milan, you get to, do the, bull, so the bull is the sign of Turin, and so you can go to Turin and, you can, step on the bull's testicles and spin around in circles. Mm-hmm. That's, the thing to do in Milan. because like there's a big rivalry there.
Yeah.
There were rival capitals of different like countries back before the unification. Good times. Yeah, so what else?
Yeah, but I think if you are going to a place that you might want to do day trips and stuff, definitely 3 or more days is going to be really important.
Yeah, and Karen is saying that they usually spend 3 to 4 days as well per city, but they'll stay up to a week in places like Paris where there's a lot to do. And yeah, no, I mean we could spend a week in Paris.
Yeah. We
could spend 2 weeks in Paris.
We've spent.
I could move to Paris.
I know. I feel like grand total, I've probably spent 3 to 4 weeks in Paris in my life, and there's still more to see. So I think there's certain cities such as Paris and London and New York that there's always something else to discover.
Well, I know Mark Finley, you're heading to New York, and I think you're spending a week or a little bit more than a week while you're there.
Oh, was it a week? Wow.
I thought it was. So I mean, yes, cities like that you could spend a ton of time.
Totally. Mark actually was saying, did you see that France is about to impose a mandatory 2-week quarantine for all travelers entering the country through July 24th? Unclear if the rest of Europe is going to do the same. And then Graham wrote, there's talk of something similar in the UK too.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to consider if you are looking at going abroad this summer, that even if things start to open up, there might be some, requirements still. Yeah. So that might limit if you can actually go to a destination.
Yeah, if you if you have a week to travel, you can't spend 2 weeks in quarantine to then go see a place, right?
Well, right. So it's like 2 weeks in quarantine going there, and then say the U.S. imposes the same thing, then you'd have to spend 2 more weeks when you get home too.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is, if you're going to like a beach location that has like a private pool in your room, and they're like, yeah, you got to quarantine in your own like room, like then it's like fine, yeah, cool, totally, I'll do that. But that's a more baller way to travel than what we typically do, so it's not going to happen for us.
Well, if money and time are not an issue for you, then I'm sure that's less of an issue just generally, but for most of us on this chat, I'm sure that's a little bit harder to accomplish.
Yeah, so Lori is saying, I learned the hard way when using a full-size suitcase. I went to Venice as her first 3-week trip, and did not take into account having to lug it over all the steps of the
canal
canals.
Steps. Yes.
Yeah, that would not be fun. Which is why I'm saying, like, if you can do a smaller bag, and backpacks. So I'm a big proponent of using backpacks as opposed to like wheeled luggage, because like it's on your back, it's just easier. If you don't have to worry about cobblestones, if you're going to somewhere with cobblestones, which I love cobblestones, and I'm always like, it looks so nice for pictures, but then it's like if you have wheeled luggage, it's murder on those bags.
It is.
So when we were in South America, I was like, all right, I got my backpack and stuff, and she's like trying to like. She has her like.
Luckily, there was just one spot with cobblestones in South America.
Beautiful though. If you're ever going to Colonia del Sacramento in Uruguay, which is right across the river from Buenos Aires, there's a small boutique hotel down there in like the old part of town, like very close to like the lighthouse and everything. That's called El Charco, Charco, and it is phenomenal. Definitely stay there if you have a chance.
Yeah. Hey there, to Travel and Tour, Neil and Kimberly, great to see you guys. We're just talking about planning trips and packing. Right now we're kind of talking about suitcase learnings and insights that we've all had from our travel.
So Viso's. Sorry.
I was just gonna piggyback with a little anecdote about. So when I studied abroad in London, I had 2 50-pound suitcases. And didn't really take into account, like, when I arrived in London, my program picked us up at the airport, and they had a big coach bus, and everybody, I could just put my bags underneath. But when I departed, months and months later, I was by myself. And I had to I don't think I felt like I could afford a taxi, because at that point it would probably have been, the exchange rate was, a lot higher than it is now. I think it was like 1.5 to 1 at that point. And so the taxi cost would have been like $70 to get to the airport, if not more. And so I was like, ooh, no, I'll just take the subway, or I'll take the Heathrow Express or something. But getting into the subway with 100 pounds of luggage and no lift or elevator was impossible, and I had to rely on the help of like a ton of very nice strangers to get my suitcase up flights of stairs.
That actually happened to me when I was studying abroad too in Madrid. We flew into Madrid, and one of my fraternity brothers and I were in the same program, Ethan.
Yeah.
And he was smart. He had actually studied abroad before, back in like high school, so he packed intelligently, and I did not. And so he was like zipping up and down stairs, and I'm like trying to follow him, and I had quite a few very nice people helping me, like, you pull, I'll push, and like I'm like, I don't know who you are, but thank you.
Yeah. We both have had that experience, and thank God for the help of kind strangers when traveling. Hopefully you guys have all had some...
Yeah, they're not all trying to rob you.
Yeah, very helpful strangers as well.
Yeah. Okay, so... Mark, okay, definitely recommend checking out Devon and Cornwall in England if you haven't already. It's really beautiful with lots of history.
We have not checked out either of those places, and they're on our lists. So Cornwall especially, we were just talking about Penzance on the last live stream. Definitely would love to go to Cornwall and eat the Cornish pasty like Derek was talking about, but it's always so expensive and booked up whenever we have wanted to go, because we only really want to go in the summertime.
So Eliz started watching a show that she really liked that takes place in Cornwall, which is called Doc Martin, which is about like a type A anal retentive like doctor who moves to Cornwall. It's a whole thing.
Hilarity ensues.
It's funny if you like that like really dry British humor. But yeah, no, I've always wanted to go to Cornwall ever since I saw like a Samantha Brown or something like that where she's eating like Cornish pasties, and I was like, those look delicious and like yum. So I've always wanted to go there just to eat one. I know you can get them in like London and stuff, but I'm always like, yeah, but that's not real. Like I need to go to Cornwall and get it. Also, if you're looking for something that's just going to make you feel like you need to move to like Cornwall, there's and you want some good like sea shanties, check out Fisherman's Friends, which is about and it's actually a true story. It's based on a true story of a Cornish like all men's a cappella group or something like that who sings like traditional sea shanties, and they actually got signed to like a record label and have like the most highest selling like folk album of all time, which is pretty cool.
That's impressive.
And it's great music, so check it out.
Yeah. And Devon, so those are wait, I was thinking of Dover actually. I don't know if I know about Devon as much. I can't really speak to that. We were looking at the White Cliffs of Dover.
I've never been to Devon. I'm not sure exactly where that is.
We'll have to check it out, like they're saying. Yeah, we're a little bit behind, aren't we, now?
Yeah, so Eric is saying, I find that 3 days is good to see a large city and day trips to travel through small towns. Yeah, no, I agree. I like finding, like, for instance, when we were going to Amsterdam, the original idea before, all this, before the COVID-19 stuff got, like, worse, was that we were going to stay in Amsterdam, do a couple of day trips out of Amsterdam, and then go and, like, stay in another place, like, Rotterdam or something like that, and then like day trip out of Rotterdam to see the things around it. So I agree. I think that's a great philosophy. Same thing with like Paris. You can do Paris in 3 or 4 days to see like the major tourist attractions, and then do day trips outside of Paris to like get more of the like smaller towns and cultures, whether that's going up to the Champagne region, going to Giverny, which is if you like Monet, Giverny is beautiful. That's where like all the water lily paintings took place, and it's a really cool place to like walk around and see all that stuff. So yeah, no, that's a great way to do it, and I highly recommend that. So, all right, we already talked about that. Taziar is cooking up some lunch at the moment. That's great.
Yeah, we're gonna need some lunch probably in an hour as well.
And if you've been on our Sunday live streams, we usually have some sort of like snack. We didn't bring one this time.
We forgot about our snacks.
Let's see. Maybe I'll have to like bolt off and grab some food for her because she gets hangry.
Nah, we're okay. We're doing good.
Alan, just saw data this morning where a majority said they wouldn't feel safe to fly until end of summer, even if they could, which doesn't bode well for airlines. Yeah, I agree. You need to do what you're comfortable with, as long as you're being safe and you're not endangering other people. I think that once they say that airlines are safe to fly again, we'll probably be flying.
But everybody knows their own body best, so I wouldn't say that there's a certain time that's best for everybody to start flying.
Yeah. Viso, just finished breakfast, about to clean
the kitchen
grout. Okay. We probably need to clean our kitchen grout, but I don't think we're going to. Not anytime soon.
We don't really have. We have bathroom grout. So then, spending a week in Paris would be easy for us. Same for Rome from Taziar Travel. Yeah, me as well.
And they spent 5 nights in Rome last November, so that's pretty cool.
Beautiful. And especially if you want to do that trip out to the Vatican City while you're in Rome, or if you want to do a day trip to Pompeii, something like that. There's so much to see in Rome when it comes to historical sites that it would be impossible to do it in just a couple days.
So, we haven't been to Rome since college. We did Rome together back when we studied abroad. At the end of her semester, my semester ended later, but I had like a week off anyway. So like we went out there and we did a week in Italy, and we did 3 days in Rome. And I got one of those like tourist maps, and I was like, I'm checking everything off this map, and we just like, she was hating me by the end, because I was just like, no, there's something we got to see on that corner that's historical. I don't know what the heck it is, but we're gonna go see it. And we're like walking uphill, and she was just like, she was so upset with me.
It was before step counters, but I'm pretty sure we walked our butts off. I don't even know, miles and miles and miles and miles.
It was great. It was great. We had a great time. We saw it all. Now we got to go back.
We saw almost all.
We just need to go back now and just enjoy
enjoy it. Yeah.
Because and I enjoyed it, but we were staying in a hostel and we were just walking all over the freaking place, and it was a good time.
But yeah, Eric's saying I wish I could spend a month in Paris or London, but there's this thing called life. I'm right there with you, Eric. I wish we could so badly just kind of do our own little exchange programs.
I always joke, I'm like, can I just go back to college and just study abroad the whole time? That'd be great.
Yeah, but there is that thing called life. Ain't it true?
But that could be life. Why can't that be your life? I mean, it sounds nice to me. So yeah, Taziar is saying, I think some are imposing 14-day quarantines is more of a way for travelers is a way to deter travelers
from coming and going.
Yeah, going to different places.
Yeah, and once things get deemed safe, those types of restrictions will start to dwindle. So we all can hold out hope that this is temporary. We're not going to be in this situation forever, but the more that we all focus on safety for the time being, the better off we're all going to be as humans in the long run.
Yeah. Okay, so Two Travel and Tour is saying that they have great memories of Madrid, and they're having
Oops, sorry.
Okay. And they're having a little pan of authentic paella with a... Oh, okay, but yes. They love getting paella while they're there with a good glass of sangria, which is delicious. I agree, So the last time I was in Madrid, I was there for work, and we went to this awesome spot. The client that we were with, he knows how to travel. He knows how to eat well. But he was basically in charge of ordering, and we went to this awesome Galician place that was serving awesome food. We had all the good tapas. We had a bunch of or pinches or whatever. We had we had some paella.
What's a pinche?
It's like a tapa.
Okay.
They're called different things.
But tapas are all different things, right? So yes. What's in that one?
It's the same as it's interchangeable with tapa.
Oh,
it's
that's just like a
different plates
synonym?
of things.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Depends on the part of Spain you're in, whether you call them pinches or...
No kidding.
I think that's what they are.
Anyway.
I don't
didn't mean
know.
to interrupt. I just wanted to... Because I didn't know what that was. You can go on. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, now I want to make sure...
Now he's fact-checking himself. Sorry, everybody. But
Pinchos.
Pinchos.
Pinchos. I think I might have just been cursing in Spanish, actually.
Ooh.
Oopsie.
Hey Eric Zwart, great to see you too. And it was really fun, like finally seeing your face yesterday on the other chat. That was awesome.
Interesting. A pinche is actually a kitchen boy.
Oh.
Pinchos is what I was thinking. Okay, so I don't know. All I was trying to say was tapas are great, pinchos are great. Patatas bravas are one of my favorite things to get when I'm in Spain.
We always like...
Big fan of sangria, but I also really like tinto de verano, which is red wine with like Fanta. It's delicious. It's great on like a hot summer day.
Yeah, that'd be good if the temperature is really hot in Spain, that's for sure.
Eric Zwart, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
But I was going to say, I really like the bacon wrapped dates.
Oh god,
tapas.
Dátiles? Oh my god, so good.
Delicious. But paella is my favorite. I love squid ink paella too.
Yeah, the arroz negro is so
Yeah.
good. But we need to stop talking about this because now I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah, now we're like cursing ourselves for
Gareth
not
is
eating
laughing at the fact that you like Doc Martin.
Oh no. Sorry, is that
Laughy
embarrassing?
emoji. To travel and tour. LOL. Katie Smith, paella and sangria, perfect combo. I mean, I would drink sangria just by itself, personally. I think it's a standalone great option. White sangria, red sangria, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I just have to be careful because I can't.
Yeah, she can't
I'm
do
allergic
oranges.
to oranges, so
Yeah.
I always have to ask if there are naranjas in the sangria.
Yeah, usually the red has oranges. The white is more likely to not, is what I found at least.
Yeah, that's true.
When we travel.
Usually the white sangria will have more of like the lemon or lime citrus type stuff, if citrus at all.
Yeah. Yes, and you have to get your cafe after lunch to make sure you don't pass out. I agree. I think that, and cafe in Spain, I mean, you're talking about like espresso basically, or a, what did I like to get? I used to love the, like a cafe con leche and stuff, and you get them in like those. So when I studied abroad in Sevilla, they did the cafe con leche in like the little glass, like glasses, like so it was like super hot.
Ooh.
I don't know how people like held on to those things, but yeah, no, that was super good. And
Like a shot glass?
Yeah, well, it was like not like a shot glass. It was like taller than that. Okay. It was like if you get like a sampling of beers, like if you do like a flight of beers, basically, it's like something like that they would serve the coffee in. It was made out of glass, but it would cost like €1, and you'd be like, for €1, you get your cafe con leche, drink it, go to class, you'd be like wired, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I miss those days. Good times. Those and doner kebab, those are like what got me through study abroad, because it was cheap eats and cheap coffee.
Gareth says Devon is next to Cornwall. Okay, so we'll definitely have to check that out. Both, same time, together.
So he's saying that traditionally you have scones in Cornwall and Devon.
I think they pronounce it scones.
Do they?
We pronounce it scones in America.
Those things in Cornwall and Devon, there's a big argument between both counties as to whether you put jam on the bottom then cream on top, or cream on the bottom and jam on top. I like cream on the bottom with the jam on top. That's what I do, personally. Because then you get like, I feel like it mixes the jam into the cream more. I don't know. It's so good. Because like jam's heavier, so it'll like go through the cream. It's like, I don't know.
No, I'm
all
ears.
I also use all the cream. I slather that on. It's so good. Her aunt doesn't like that I use all the cream. She's like,
which aunt?
Julia. She uses less cream.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I like the cream. It's so good. The clotted cream, yummy. It's so good.
I feel like I haven't done this enough to have formed an opinion. So I'm curious what his opinion is.
Yeah. Where do you come out on the great debate of jam on top?
And I bet Graham's got to weigh in. We need our UK contingent to weigh in on what's right and what's wrong here. Yeah. To Travel and Tour saying
Sounds like a typical neighbor feud. Yeah,
it sounds like
speech
it's
impediment
kind of
came out
like
there.
the Chicago versus New York pizza situation. Where that's another one that I just like. My opinion isn't strong enough to really to really have like a solid answer.
Yeah. Graham's asking Gareth the same thing. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, and then Gareth said I prefer jam first,
And then cream on top.
So that's what you
Okay.
said, right?
No, I put the jam
Oh,
on
you
top
put
of
jam
the
on
cream.
top. Sorry.
Because it mixes it in more, I think.
Oof.
Controversial opinions here.
Well, we got to hear what Graham thinks.
Ronnie Dove saw where American Airlines is going to require passengers and crew to start wearing masks on all flights starting May 11th. Don't know if this was because of the norm or only if this is going to become the new norm or only for the next few months.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume this is actually just going to be for the next few months. It's not going to become the new norm for everybody to wear masks at all times. I do like the idea of, trying to move more towards how a lot of Asian cultures have it, where if you're sick, you wear a mask to kind of keep from spreading, disease to other people.
Yeah, even
I think
on
that
like
if that,
subways and stuff.
I think
not
if
just
that became
airplanes.
like the new norm in Western culture, I think that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about having respect for your neighbors and stuff. Personally, that'd be great.
Yeah, my best friend's a flight attendant, and she works for an airline that they're really encouraging that too. And I think United is encouraging that with all of their flight attendants. So it's definitely going to become the new norm this summer. And flight attendants and air crew just want to stay safe as well. I don't think anybody's going to be upset about it. It's going to be a universally well-liked thing for quite some time.
Yeah. So Darian is saying, I love to go to big cities while in Germany, but also love going to small, quaint towns. Each place has its own feel. I agree. Big cities, small towns, both have their place. Depends on kind of the location you're going to. So, like, when we went to Wales, for instance, I don't think we ever went to a place that you'd consider a big city while we were in Wales. It was a little bit more rural.
Not when we went together. I went to Cardiff and Swansea on my own.
Yeah, I did not go to either of those, which are big cities. We only went to like Betws and Llandudno and whatnot, which was Carnarvon, which was awesome. Well, we stayed in Conway though, because Conway's the like town.
We actually stayed in Llandudno, but we did day trips to Conway.
Oh, that's right.
And day trips to Carnarvon.
That's right. That's what we did.
And it was a very magical trip. We speak so highly about Wales. I feel like it's the most underrated place. There should be a lot more people that visit that area. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Castles, really cool architecture, just generally.
Yeah, I mean, they're castle towns built like by Edward Long.
Nice people to hang out with in the pubs.
Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, True Travel and Tour is agreeing with Darian, and so he used to live just outside of the Munich area. Munich itself is absolutely gorgeous, but there are some really cool places just outside the city. Yeah. We've actually, I've only flown through Munich. We've never actually spent any time in southern Germany. Actually, you've never been to Germany at all.
No.
I've been to Germany a little bit.
We were going to go
work.
to Germany in March. We were going to go to Cologne from Amsterdam, and we actually, before we even left on that trip, made arrangements to change that just because of COVID-19.
Well, there was a lot of it in that part of Germany, so we weren't going to...
There were a lot more cases in Cologne than there were in Amsterdam at that point in time.
Yeah. So... Lori Sims, my September trip/flight to Italy is still on at this point. 16 days to focus on places I've not seen.
Awesome!
Oh, that's awesome. Let us know where in Italy you're going to be, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and 16 days in Italy is going to be a great amount of time. We have been to Rome, Siena, Florence, Milan, Lake Como,
Turin,
and Piedmont. So we are happy to give recommendations on those places.
Turin is in Piedmont. Piedmont's the region.
Yeah,
but we've done like a lot of like the little towns.
Yeah, Barbaresco, Asti, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So happy to give anybody recommendations on those spots.
Yeah.
But there's so much more in Italy to see even than what we've been able to touch upon. So I am really looking forward to hearing about your itinerary.
Yeah. And Lori is also saying that food tours and cooking classes are great in every city.
Yes.
That's very true. And actually, that's something that I've wanted to do even just in our own neighborhood, is like a food tour of Bucktown here in Chicago, or like Wicker Park, because I feel like there's so many awesome restaurants here that we haven't tried that if I just did a food tour, I'd probably try a lot of the good ones. So
Yeah.
but yeah, food tours can be really cool, and we don't do them enough. We should do those more often.
I agree.
They can be a little
We
expensive.
wanted to
depending
do it in China specifically. It just didn't work out with our scheduling.
But I mean,
Unfortunate.
it helped that when we were in Shanghai, we were with friends who
Yeah.
basically took us on their own food tour of Shanghai, and they're like,
True.
"Here, eat this, eat this, eat this."
Yeah.
And we're like, "This is awesome."
We tried so many things
we
with
went to
them
a
that we
dumpling
wouldn't have
shop.
known to even ask for.
We went to a dumpling shop with them, and we had so many dumplings. Like, we couldn't eat all the dumplings that we bought.
Yeah.
I've never said that before. I've never been like, "Oh, I can't eat another dumpling." This time I was like, I could not eat another dumpling. They were delicious.
They were delicious, though. Yes.
Two Traveling Tours is saying red wine and Fanta. That sounds like something I'd like to try.
Yeah.
It's very good, and it's a very typical drink for like summertime in Spain because it gets so hot, and so you get the red wine with Fanta and the ice.
Was
and
it
it's
with
nice
a
and refreshing.
specific red wine? Because Spain is known for Tempranillo and Rioja, I believe, and I'm curious. if
Tinto.
it's- Okay, so it's
It's just cheap house red.
Okay,
That's what they're
I
gonna-
just
they're
didn't
not
know
gonna
if
mix,
it was
like-
like
They're not mixing like,
only Rioja or something like that.
I have no idea. Tinto.
Maybe they just didn't. Yeah, they just
Whichever one is Tinto, which just means red.
cool.
Just give me your house red. Eric Brown agrees with me. I wish I could just go back to college and study abroad.
I know.
I mean, I wish I'd studied abroad more.
Yeah.
If there's a way to get a degree without ever stepping foot in Indiana, I
I'm
guess I
feeling
could have
really
done it.
sad for the kids who waited all their life to study abroad this spring and then had to come home early. That totally is just heartbreaking in a lot of ways. And there's probably this fall and summer too. There's going to be a lot fewer study abroad trips. So
Yeah, so Graham is siding with Gareth on the whole jam on bottom. It's more dense, so you can't spread it if you put the cream down first. What are you thinking, Derek? I don't know what I'm thinking. I think that it mixes down into it and like kind of like gets all like into
he
it.
says jam first is Cornish.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm not Cornish, so
You're just an opinionated person.
I have opinions.
We should probably try this at home. That would actually be a fun like quarantine thing to do. Is get some jam and cream and bread, because like that's not something that we would ever think to have in the house here in the U.S. But I know it's
Not
very
just bread though. You want it on like scones.
Oh yeah, scone. Yeah, sorry. I guess we have to make scones first.
I'm not gonna like put it on white bread.
Yeah, I was thinking of baguette, but scones is totally the right thing. I don't know what I was thinking.
Scones
of.
are like dense and cakey
Yeah,
and good.
Yeah, it definitely needs
Delicious.
to be a scone.
Oh,
I'm just gonna see
Crazy.
myself out. I
Crazy
ruined,
woman over
I ruined
here.
the live stream here.
To Traveling Tour. Speaking of pizza, where we live, there is a place known for its sweet crust pizza. My wife loves it, but I don't really care for it. Yeah, I don't really want sweet crust with my pizza necessarily, but I'd try it.
What is sweet crust pizza? I don't know
But
either.
I would try it.
I suppose I would try it. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I know that like some people add more or less sugar in their sauce. So
Yeah.
I know that there's like some sweeter pizza sauces. I wouldn't say like sugary,
like-
but
a sugar cookie
now that sounds
crust, or like a pie crust. I don't know.
I don't know. Sounds good though. Sounds interesting. I would try.
Sounds interesting.
I would
Yeah,
try it.
I wouldn't know how I would feel about that. But if anybody wants to drop one off on our doorstep during quarantine, we would eat it on camera.
Yeah. Yeah, we ordered Papa John's last night, so we're not,
Oh, are
not,
we?
not necessarily haute cuisine over here.
We're admitting those things.
We're
now,
admitting
aren't we?
those. Hey, it's my favorite national pizza chain.
We
We were gonna make our own homemade pizza last night, but then it got a little bit later than we were
well,
anticipating.
we ran out of
We wanted
tortillas,
food.
which is usually what we'll use as crust if we don't have
Because
crust pre-made.
we're heathens over
'Cause we're
here.
heathen. And we also like to save the calories. But then
We're saving many calories.
we
with
didn't
tortillas.
feel like making crust. because the weather was so nice that we wanted to stay outside longer. We didn't feel like going inside to make the crust.
Yeah,
so we
so
just ordered pizza.
yeah, that was the main thing. Was it was super nice out here in Chicago last night. So it was like 76 degrees, I think. So we were just like hanging out on our back porch, drinking like ciders and Trulies and stuff, and just having a good time. So I was like, I can just order a pizza on my phone right now instead of going inside and making pizza crust for the next half hour. And so that's what we did, because it was so nice.
So there's that.
By the way, Gareth is telling us that there are huge arguments about how to say scone in the UK. In Wales, we tend to say
Scone.
Scone.
I think that's how I was saying it before.
Which is obviously the right way.
Which is obviously the right way. Yeah, in the US we only say scone, which I know that in the UK there's a little bit of difference in that.
Graham, I think they like to say scone up in north and scone down south. Huh. So scone for me too.
There you go.
There we go. The more you know. I thought Graham was about to do one of those things where he says, they say scone up north and then scone it, like spell it the same way, but it's like, and in your head you said it differently, didn't you? Yeah, no.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. Okay, so Ronnie, what is your opinion on a good first European country for a new traveler on the cheap side of things? Mm-hmm. Asking for a friend.
So we actually haven't been to this place, but I've heard a lot of people answer Budapest, Hungary. And Budapest is one of the most affordable destinations in terms of hotels. And it has a lot of culture as well. So we personally really want to get there very soon. I can't speak to it much more because, again, we haven't been, but heard great things.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking for two things. I guess it also kind of depends on what is your friend's comfort level with other languages. So if your friend speaks some of another language, that can be helpful in terms of making a place more approachable as well. Yeah. So if your friend speaks some Spanish, Spain is actually super affordable. It's one of the more affordable places in the EU.
But maybe Ireland, if they don't want to really deal with a lot of like language barriers or something like that, if they are new travelers. And so there's places in Ireland, if you kind of get outside of Dublin, that are stunning, very culturally interesting, and they're on the euro, they're not on the pound, so that can give a little bit better leeway with the exchange rate. And if you're in more rural areas, you can get more affordable hotels and stuff. Yeah,
I mean, we haven't looked at how expensive Wales is, but I know that Wales we thought was fairly affordable when we went. It was at earlier in our careers and stuff, so we were trying to save money.
We were like
and you can fly in and out of Manchester.
I think when we went to Wales, and we went there to save money basically.
So we got a cheap flight through Manchester.
And because we were under 25, we were gonna have to spend like a ton of money on a rental car, so we ended up not renting a car at all. And only took trains and buses around, and it was actually really easy. We just planned everything in advance. We looked at the bus timetables, and like this was early 2010. I mean, this was like we didn't
have smartphones.
So we like downloaded the timetables for the buses, and I mean it was super affordable. So that's another option. I think Wales is underrated in that way too, because people think like, oh, it's on the pound, it's going to be expensive, but no, we did it pretty reasonably. Sorry, were you saying another country? Or you just no? Okay. Hopefully that helps.
Portugal is actually really, really affordable as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of affordable places, and I think that when you're looking at a good place for a first-time traveler, I think that a lot of places, I mean, it's harder, I think, for us to kind of talk about it because we travel so much now that, or we have traveled so much that I think that maybe there are some places that I would think of as being very approachable that maybe wouldn't be thought of as approachable, to other people. So again, it is, what's their comfort level with like English language and other, versus others, right? Yeah.
Lori Sims just brought up a really good point. She's never had a problem with language barriers. I assume saying in Europe, most speak English as a second language, and that's really true. A lot of, especially people that work in like tourism type industries, will have at least a little bit of English on their plates.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely true. But some are better than others, right? So parts of Spain maybe don't speak as much English as maybe Madrid. So, there's different places where, you can run into some difficulties. And if you speak none of the language, you can have some trouble. Like Amsterdam, though, like everybody speaks English in Amsterdam. Like pretty much across the board.
Well, they learn it in school.
Yeah, they like basically have to learn it in school. So super easy there.
Yeah.
But it's also not the most affordable place. So if you're looking for affordable and easy, maybe not Amsterdam.
All right, so let's back up so we don't skip things over. Okay, so we answered Ronnie's question. Then To Travel and Tour says, Derek and Eliz, tip for your Amsterdam to Cologne trip. Take the ICE from Amsterdam Central Station. Driving into Cologne by train is amazing. You will see the famous cathedral from the window.
Oh, cool.
We were definitely looking at the train, and the ICE train specifically, just because it's so. I pulled up the train map of the Netherlands, and the Netherlands has a phenomenal just train system. You could pretty much get anywhere, but then there's a few of those train lines that go outside of the country as well. So we were looking at Cologne. We were looking at, I think, Brussels. Like there's all these different international trains that you can take from Amsterdam Central too.
Yeah. Graham is asking if you can get clotted cream in the States. Yes, you can. You can buy anything in the United States. I'm sure you can get clotted cream.
You can buy anything.
Buy anything.
No, that's actually a good question. I have a feeling specialty markets there's a chain store that I don't think is actually open right now because of quarantine here, at least in Chicago, but there's a place called Cost Plus World Market that has a lot of British imports as well as imports from a lot of different places, and that store is a chain in a lot of major cities in the US. So we've found some great like British imports there, but even clotted cream, like probably you could get it at Whole Foods or at least make it yourself out of ingredients from that. Katie Smith says Lucca and Portoviejo, sorry, it's a little far away from me, Italy are wonderful small towns too, and nearby Cinque Terre. Yes, yeah, we would love to visit Cinque Terre in that area. We did kind of skip over it when we were in Italy and need to go back.
Yeah. And so on Amazon, Whole Foods, I can get some luxury clotted cream from the Devon Cream Company.
News alert.
Yummy.
Clotted cream is available.
I'm going to add this to my cart.
It's just not something that we typically eat here. It's not part of the scone culture.
And free delivery with Prime.
There you go.
So, yeah, no, Lucca, I would definitely go to pretty much, tell me to go anywhere in Italy and I will go.
Yeah.
Sounds about right
Tell
to me.
us to eat anything in Italy and we will eat it.
Unless you're Eric Brown and he's telling us to put pineapple on pizza, I don't agree with that. But
I've had it before. I mean, I'll eat it.
If it's the only pizza that is available, I will eat it.
If it's probably between like a pizza, like of all olives and like a pizza with pineapple and ham, I would probably opt for the pineapple.
I don't know.
ham.
I did them both. Throw some anchovies on there. Yum.
I'm not a big like olive on pizza person.
She doesn't like anchovies either. Lori is saying that Prague, Czech Republic, is very reasonable and beautiful for a first-time trip. Yep. We've never been to Prague, but it's high on our list and we really want to go.
We were looking at that this summer too.
Yeah, we were looking at it, trying to do more of an Eastern European type trip, because we've done a lot in the West, but we've never really made it, I've never been past Germany and she's never been to Germany or beyond. So kind of that Central and Eastern type of Europe trip is something we'd want to do.
And specifically with Prague, like you're saying, it's supposed to be pretty reasonable, but also there's a lot of culture stuff that sounds really cool. Unfortunately, it sounds like there's a little bit to pay attention to if you do want to go there soon about whether the Czech Republic is going to do that same type of like quarantine or like when they're going to allow tourists in.
Yeah, so Graham is saying that Cinque Terre is on his list of
Bucket
places
list.
to get to once travel is unlocked again.
Would love that. And I can't wait to see your photos of that too.
Yeah. To Travel on Tour agrees with Eric that pineapple belongs on pizza, which is sad. No, I'm just kidding. Eric Brown is agreeing. Prague is great. And Ronnie says, absolutely not. Pineapple should not be in the same zip code as pizza. I agree with you, Ronnie. Yeah, and To Travel and Tours is also agreeing that Prague would be great. Oh, yeah, and Graham is saying that Poland is pretty reasonable, too. Yeah, Poland is supposed to be fairly reasonable.
Yeah.
Warsaw is supposed to be really great, like a great city. Now, realize if you go to Warsaw that pretty much everything there that looks old is not old. It was built, rebuilt after the war because a lot of it got destroyed during the Nazi occupation.
Before COVID-19, there was supposed to be a direct flight starting this summer from Chicago, where we live, direct to Krakow, Poland. And I was looking at that flight with interest. However, I think it's going to be, what did we call it on the last live stream? There's going to be a few of those sacrificial lambs of like the routes that were supposed to open up this year. That I have a feeling that one's going to be
Some
tabled
casualties
for now.
Yeah.
But we were looking specifically at Krakow because of that flight, and it looked an awesome city. Even Gdansk, Poland.
Gdansk would be cool. Yeah, within Poland, like Krakow is supposed to be beautiful, and that's also more the older city, so it has a lot of that like culture and history still there because it didn't get bombed or destroyed.
So I think you could fly into like Berlin or Prague and get to Poland pretty easily too if from Chicago. I'm sure we're probably the only ones on this chat from Chicago, so we don't need to talk about routes with you guys.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, so I got lost.
Yeah, I think a lot of people started talking to each other, which is really fun.
Everybody's talking about pizza, which is good thing we have
debate.
pizza downstairs left over to.
Eric Smart asked, "What countries have we visited?" So, why don't you say which ones he's gone to a few more than me, just for work related stuff.
Yeah. So obviously, let's start here. So obviously the U.S., Canada, and Mexico a little bit, but we need to get back to Mexico. I've also been to Belize because of a cruise, and then down into South America we did Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile for our honeymoon. And then within Europe, we've done a lot of the UK. So we've done, England, Wales, Scotland. You've done Ireland,
yep.
which I have not done. Neither one of us have been to Northern Ireland.
Correct. Which would be really cool to visit.
Which would be fun. I hear Belfast is a pretty cool town. And then we've done Paris, Spain. I've done Morocco.
I've been all over France. More than just Paris.
Yeah, so we've done like Paris and Amboise and like the Loire Valley, and you've done some other places
Lyon,
as well. Lyon.
Avignon.
Yeah, she went on a trip there last summer with one of her friends. Without me, ditched me. She went on a few Europe trips last year without me. Going with friends. She did Bruges again without me. So we've done Belgium, we've done Amsterdam. I've been to Germany. I've been to Switzerland. Italy.
You've been to Morocco.
Yeah, Morocco and Africa. That's the only place I've been into in Africa. Definitely want to get back and do more like sub-Saharan.
We both
like
went
that.
to China last year,
Yep.
and then Derek also went to Hong Kong and
Singapore. Yeah, and Japan.
Right.
So
I forgot that one because I was so jealous. I really want to go to Japan so badly.
yeah, but Hong Kong, Japan, and Singapore were all part of the same trip. So I've done. I guess that's all the places I've been to.
Yeah, we might have forgotten one. Oh, I mean, we've been to Canada. Did we say that?
said that.
Oh, okay. We might have forgotten one here or there, but yeah, that's a good summary.
The thing that I want to do at some point is I want to kind of island hop through the Caribbean because I know that we can add a ton of countries to the list if we just do that. So I kind of want to island hop a little bit at some point in the Caribbean, which would be a lot of fun. I'd love to make it to Cuba. I'd love to do that. It kind of depends on what's going on with politics at any given time, but I'd love to make it there.
The places kind of more on our immediate bucket list, though, were like South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. But we're obviously going to be mindful of how soon that will actually come to fruition at this point. Right now, for this summer, just so everyone's aware, we've been really researching more local road trip ideas, whether that means the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is a really remote place, or into Canada if the border opens up, but also like New England, Shenandoah National Park, that area. So there's a lot of really cool stuff to see within the U.S. itself. And one of my goals in 2020 was to visit the remaining states that I haven't been to.
16!
There were 16, and I had a very well thought out plan to see all of them. And that plan is shot to heck.
It's out the window.
But hopefully I'll be able to cross off 8 of the 16 or something like that.
She had a friend who was going to Hawaii, so she was going to like go to Hawaii with her friend.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Hawaii in April. You know,
sad.
Like I'm not going to, you know, do too much boo-hoo, but it's definitely...
you don't have to cry for us.
I think everybody's trips are a little bit tabled right now, and we're all in it together.
So, real quick, Paul Tipton, welcome sir.
Paul.
Thanks for joining us. He says he was watching YouTube, and this chat popped up, so thanks for joining us. We're happy to have you here.
We're just chatting about... obviously travel, but specifically our topics have been kind of like planning travel and packing, and a very, very important clotted cream debate.
Yeah, and whether pineapple belongs on pizza, but I think we all know the answer is no. Just kidding. So we accept all people here, all types.
Yeah.
Pineapple, anchovies, whatever your preference is. Yeah, so people in Holland speak better English than I do, according to Graham. Yeah, they're great. The accent it's funny because somebody else was saying this, but they're like, whenever I'm in Europe and I can't place an accent that somebody has when they're speaking English, they usually end up being Dutch. And that's pretty funny. To travel and tour is obviously Dutch, and so...
Neil is, yeah.
Neil is. So yeah, it's a hard accent to place if you're not used to it.
There also are different accents depending on where in the Netherlands somebody is from.
Yeah. So, all right, Gareth, I definitely encourage Portugal as an affordable trip.
Yeah.
I know this is way late now. One of my favorite places to visit is Sintra near Lisbon. It's brimming with history and fairy tale settings.
Ooh, fairy tale settings. Sign me up.
Yeah, so my brother and sister-in-law went on their honeymoon in Portugal, and they really loved it. They don't speak anything but good words about it.
Oh, Eric Swartz Dutch as well. That's so cool. Okay, so now I get to actually hang out with my Dutch people. So I'm part Dutch as well. Just grew up in... my grandfather grew up in Amsterdam.
Yeah, which is why we love going to Amsterdam, and it's a great spot. Her great-grandfather was on the 1901 Ajax team, so he was one of the founding members when they, I guess, reconstituted in 1901. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's her claim to fame in Amsterdam.
Yeah, which is with Dutch people.
Most other people are like, Ajax, isn't that like a cleaning supply? Don't you like clean toilets with that?
I don't know. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never used Ajax, but the Ajax, very cool. Pizza crust. Okay, so Ronnie Dove. Pizza is crust, sauce, cheese, pepperoni, and occasionally Italian sausage.
Huh.
So
we love sausage on pizza.
All right, just all right. We're gonna stop the pizza talk after we tell you what the perfect pizza combination is, which is Italian sausage, mushrooms, and peppers, green peppers. That is like the perfect 3
You
toppings.
could do an orange pepper and it won't change it, but yeah.
Green, I like the color green.
No, it's really good. And just having like a really nice tomato sauce, like a marinara. Yeah, we love that combo. That's our typical go-to.
So Lori is saying that Budapest is also a reasonable price and great culture, i.e. Prague, Budapest, Vienna. So like that's the road trip that...
Vienna's not as reasonable though.
in price.
Yeah, in price. Right.
But it's a place to go.
Right.
So for us, we were looking at like trying to do a road trip through like all those countries. So we were looking at one point of like, all right, what if we like flew into Munich and then we rented a car and then we drove from Munich through like Budapest and Bratislava and like all these like Eastern European countries that would be a lot of fun. Budapest is definitely like one of those like, oh, did you stay in Buda or Pest? Because different sides of the river. It used to be actually two different cities that were eventually joined by a bridge, which is kind of cool. And I would love to go there. I've been saying that to her for years. Karen Mack, Krakow was a surprise for me. Loved it so much, would go back in a heartbeat. Yeah, we hear that a lot about Krakow. So. And
it has really pretty architecture. I think different from Warsaw. It wasn't destroyed as much.
Yeah, and I'm also part Polish, so I'm a sucker for a good pierogi, as well as like Polish sausage and sauerkraut and all that stuff.
They sell pierogies here in the grocery store because there's a lot of Polish people in Chicago, and so when Derek's parents visited us, was it last December? We all bought a bunch of pierogies and ate them as like a side dish.
I could make a meal out of pierogies.
So good.
So good.
They're like a potato dumpling for everybody.
Every culture has their dumpling, and that's Poland's. Graham, I can confirm Krakow is a nice place. Very inexpensive and quite modern, too. Great food and some good pub options of craft beers, etc.
Yeah, if you like beer, I think Poland's a good spot.
Or vodka. If you like vodka, go to Poland. Klaus is saying that Greece is also a good place for a first trip to Europe.
Yeah.
There's a good tourist infrastructure.
North Macedonia.
North Macedonia is one of the cheapest places in Europe. Huh.
Macedonia is a separate country, but next to Greece, I believe.
Well, all right. Now you're getting into controversial topics.
Oh, am I?
Because
on a map of Europe,
there's also a region. There's a region I think within Greece that is called Macedonia.
Okay. Don't listen to me for your geography on that area. Oops, sorry. There's like sirens going on outside. They'll pass really soon though.
Yeah, so Eric Brown is saying that he wants to go to Singapore pretty badly, and what I will say is that for Asia, so all right, so we were talking about like what's a good first place to go to in Europe for travel, but even if you're an inexperienced traveler, going to Singapore is super easy if you're from the West. The national language of Singapore is actually English, so everybody speaks English.
Bye, Eric Brown.
Bye, Eric. But
there's multiple Erics on this chat, so that's why I was very specific. Eric Brown.
All right. But Singapore is awesome. But I hope you make it there soon. It's you can use like Gojek, which is like their version of like an Uber, or you can use. I think they have Uber there as well. Awesome food. It's a great food town. Which
hot, no matter what time of year you.
No matter what time of the year, it's super hot because it's like right on the equator, and the food is phenomenal. The air conditioning is great though, so like you can walk into any building and it's going to be like blasting AC if it's like a mall or something. The food's great because it has like a mixture of cultures from like Indian and Malaysian and Chinese food, so you kind of can get a little bit of all those things, and the food's really good. To Travel and Tour, thank you for saying that this channel is a good place to run into. Graham is telling us that we should 100% make time for the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands in the Caribbean. Cannot recommend them highly enough.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the top islands that we'd like to visit. We were supposed to go to a wedding in St. Lucia, which is what Katie Smith is saying, and we ended up not being able to attend. This was like a year ago, May.
Yeah, one of my fraternity brothers got married in St. Lucia, and obviously loves St. Lucia. Him and his now wife, I think used to vacation there a lot, so it's pretty cool.
We've heard great things. So Katie's asking if anyone's been to Barbados or St. Lucia, and we have not. I've actually not really been to any of the Caribbean islands, which is something that I'd love to fix.
Yeah. Yeah, we just need to figure out a good way to do it. We have good friends who always go to, what's the island that they go to? Anguilla, and we've heard amazing things about Anguilla and would love to make it out there at some point.
Yeah, so. And I think it's cool that they all kind of have their own culture.
Yeah, it's really cool. Paul Tipton, thank you for joining us, bud. So he's saying that he saw us on the Walters World chat as well. Yeah,
Great.
We're pretty active over there. We love the Walters family, and the community that they've been able to build over there is pretty unique and pretty cool.
And it's been so wonderful to connect with all these like fellow travel addicts through Walters World, and have a lot of you guys rejoin us here on our live streams. We love this community that we've been able to create. It's kind of like our own little small group here on our live chats of people that just really miss travel. And so it's been something that we look forward to every single week, just because we have these live streams at the same time every week, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock Central Time, and then Sunday mornings.
Thursday, we usually drink a bottle or two of wine.
Many of you are in Europe right now, so I would say Sunday mornings, but for you guys, it's like Sunday afternoon, evenings. But it's really cool to have so many people who are overseas right now join today. We're digging it.
Yeah, no, which is why we like having them at the two different times, because, for us, we look forward to our Thursday live chat as a time to kind of kick off our shoes, have a little fun, drink some wine, maybe beers, whatever we have on hand, and have some good conversations. And then we love these earlier ones when the Europeans get to join us as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Eric and Two Travel and Tour are having a conversation about being Dutch, which is a lot of fun.
I'm gonna have to read that. Yeah, my
Eric saying Dutchies unite.
Yeah, my middle name actually is my mom's Dutch maiden name translated into English.
Yeah, her mom's maiden name is Van der Laan.
Yeah, and my middle name's Lane.
Yeah. Okay. So Eric is saying that you can stay in the Vienna forest, which is a lot cheaper and close to Vienna. So that's cool. There you go. That's a way to do Vienna on a little bit more.
I feel like I would start to tell myself a lot of fairy tales too if I stayed in a forest. In that area, it sounds like one of those inspired by type areas.
Yeah. Graham is complimenting me for reading through his typo when he said
food.
You food. Said, yeah, I think he said good or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Paul is saying Ajax is pronounced Ajax and Ajax is Ajax.
Yeah. Spelled the same, but pronounced very differently.
Spelled the same, but very different. Eric Brown, gotta run. Catch the rest of the archive. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. I think you already said that earlier when it happened. Paul.
I just want to go back to the European soccer team thing. So so Derek's family are huge Barcelona fans, and I know that everybody from Europe seems to have some sort of allegiance to something. But I get a pass from Derek's dad that nobody else gets. That I get to say that I'm an Ajax fan, and he allows it. But nobody else gets to say that they're a fan of anything else in their house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine, but he won't respect you for it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. So so Paul Tipton, any travel plans this year, and is coronavirus affecting you? You may have already discussed it. So, no, we haven't been...
Well, coronavirus definitely affected my plan to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, it's affected our travel plans.
We had to urgently fly back from the Netherlands on March 13th, so that way we would get back before the U.S.
Travel restrictions went into place, which would have forced us to kind of change our travel flights, I think, in terms of what cities we could fly into. We're also happy that we came back early. We made it in on Friday so that we were able to, the lines getting back through immigration were not nearly as bad as they were just one day later, because they were suddenly funneling everybody through, I think, 9 cities.
But it was a panic moment for us, because we arrived in the Netherlands on Monday, March 9th, and we had only been there 2.5 days before being awoken at 2 a.m. Europe time by all of our friends and family in the U.S. telling us to get home immediately.
Yeah, because they had all just watched the president kind of announce everything that was going on, and there was a lot of confusion at first around what it meant. because maybe the communication wasn't as spot on as we would have hoped. So yeah, we were kind of scrambling.
So
2 and 3 in the morning.
We used Miles to book a flight home immediately, and then ended up actually also trying for a standby flight on a different airline too. And we ended up making the standby flight slightly earlier than the flight we had booked with Miles, so we got those returned to us eventually. And it was just a very chaotic experience. We actually talked about it in our first ever live stream from a few months ago, but that certainly was something that we hope will never have to be repeated. But
when we
were
decided,
very happy to finally make it home when we did.
Yeah, but when we decided to go, we kind of did our Amsterdam trip last minute, and we decided to go because we had the time off to take it anyways, and we knew that we had flexibility to get back. So we always knew that if we had to get back last second, which happened, we had the flexibility to make that happen. And because of that, we also didn't book hotels for the entire time we were there. We were kind of like extending as we went, and it was actually great because it saved us a ton of money on hotels that way because we got great deals. But we went knowing that we could come back, which is not everybody has that kind of flexibility that we
There was actually a lot of the people that were on our flights home were folks who had been in Africa, and their layover was at Amsterdam Schiphol. And so there was like a lot of people flying that had just gotten in from Nairobi and coming back into the U.S. So it wasn't even just affecting Europe at that point. It was just everybody. It was like calling all Americans, come back home. So that was our instantaneous, the way that the virus affected our travel. We hadn't booked too many trips because, to be honest, the way that we travel a lot has been with like Derek's work. He has had a lot of international meetings and stuff, and so sometimes I'll go join him on that because I can work from anywhere. And so we haven't truly planned our like typical annual summer vacation at that point.
Well, we were thinking about our summer trip, and we were gonna start planning it, but then all this stuff happened, and so that kind of threw a wrench and everything. So no, we don't have a lot of like travel planned, but as soon as things open up, we have plans for trips.
Road trips is what I've been focusing on.
We have a massive road trip planned for this year as soon as things open up, because we want to make it up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We want to drive through Canada as long as the everything's open, and then like down through Vermont and like kind of the East Coast of the United States. See a bunch of our friends in New York City who our hearts and our prayers are out for right now because of how much they've been affected by everything that's going on. And then we just have a lot of things that we want to get to. So
So let's see what everybody's saying. Hopefully you guys didn't have too many travel things that got affected, but I know a lot of people did.
And luckily us and our family, nobody's we've been fine. We haven't been affected in a health perspective. And our family has been lucky and not been affected either. We do know people who have lost family members or who have family members that have been in the hospital for everything. So it's a scary time for everybody.
And here in Chicago, I mean, there's a lot of cases, so we're very cautious. We were very cautious in March when we went to the Netherlands. We traveled with a huge baggie full of disinfecting wipes. We both had our masks that we had from China, our trip to China. So the precautions were being taken even back in March.
All right, so, but on to maybe some happier things.
Hopefully.
Well, one more thing first. So Lori is saying that she has signed up for the State Department's STEP program, which gives daily updates on which countries, what are the countries' statuses with COVID as well as unrest, i.e. the protests in Paris. That's helpful. And if you're doing like a big trip where you're going to be in like multiple countries and stuff, signing up for something like that could be really helpful. So you can kind of check, hey, we're heading to Germany now. What's going on there? You can kind of check it out pretty quick. So Eric is saying 20 minutes from Amsterdam. I assume that's where you are. Visited the city when lockdown was in place. We couldn't believe our eyes. It was so empty. Even the pigeons didn't know what was going on. That's pretty funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, we found it even before the lockdown happened, which is, I mean, we were there right before things really shut down. Like, Adem Tower and everything was still up and running. So, like, the last day we were in Amsterdam, we actually went to Adem Tower. Mm-hmm. It was pretty empty. Like, you could tell people just weren't going to things like that, as well as there were just less tourists around. So we went up there.
Tourists.
We went up there, and we were able to, like, kind of not be next to people most of the time. We were able to avoid people pretty easily. You know, I would say that the one thing that we did while we were in...
Big motorcycle just went by,
it's
sorry.
Nice weather out today, so, like, people are out on their Harleys and stuff. So the one thing that we did while we were in Amsterdam that in hindsight we shouldn't have done just because it was impossible to social distance that way was the Anne Frank house. But luckily,
we had bought tickets.
Luckily, we were fine. But.
We had bought tickets in advance, and we showed up. And you know, there's not really a way. Like once you're in there, there's not really a way to like leave.
Well,
I guess you
and there's no way to you're packed in there, but we were fine. I wouldn't do that now.
And we came away. We social distanced, like basically self-isolated at our house for 2 weeks. As soon as we were back too, just in case we had been exposed, whether it be from the Anne Frank house or just traveling home on the planes and that sort of thing. And thankfully, neither Derek nor I ever felt sick, and we haven't felt sick since. So we've been very lucky.
Yeah. So we've caught up. If there's any major questions, please let us know. I think we've kind of touched on a lot of the stuff we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we didn't talk too much about packing, but we can maybe follow that up because it's a nice day. I'm sure everybody wants to get on with their Sundays.
We talked way too much about food, paella, pizza, and I'm really hungry.
Maybe we'll talk about packing on another live chat if people are interested. But yeah, it's been really, really fun to have these twice a week to look forward to. Here in Illinois, we are still shelter in place at least at the end of May, so Derek and I are committed to keeping these going through May, where Thursday nights and Sunday mornings we will be going live at the regular times. So hopefully you guys can all join as your time zones allow, because it's really fun to have such passionate travelers along with us to talk and share tips. So. And
before we go, though, I must say I love your necklace.
Oh, thank you.
It's very nice.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
I don't know. I'm just saying it looks very good, guys. Don't you guys agree? Like her necklace, it like really just brings the whole outfit together.
Shucks. You're too nice.
I know.
I love your necklace.
Oh, thank you.
Am I supposed to say that every time?
No.
Derek never takes that necklace off.
I haven't taken this off since I got it. Well, I take it off when I go to like the ocean.
Yeah, Paul, we're definitely looking forward to having you back, hopefully.
Yeah.
Lori's saying that California is going to hit the mid-90s. I heard it's a scorcher out there, and it's been that way for days. But the beaches are still locked down, so hopefully you can find a way to stay cool.
Gareth is saying that your hair is on point, too.
Oh, thanks, Gareth. You guys are so sweet.
Shucks.
So many wonderful
what about my hair,
gentleman
Gareth?
compliments.
I combed it.
Now you just messed mine up.
My hair's better.
Oh God, this is getting weird.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's been really fun to have everybody. We'll hope that you guys can come back next Thursday and Sunday again, and we'll keep you all posted about what those topics are going to be. Let us know if you have any requests, because we're happy to talk about whatever the most interesting things are to you all. We do travel a lot, so it's always good to be able to share our experiences and our tips.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It really means a lot because, you know, there's a lot of these things that you guys can join, and, you know, we really appreciate you spending your time with us. So.
Tot scenes, I have to say. That's goodbye in Dutch. Really digging the Eric and Neil camaraderie here. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining Karen Mack, Klaus, Eric Zwart, To Travel and Tour,
Rachel Kubaki. Hey!
Oh, Rachel, I didn't even know you were on, so thank you for joining from Salt Lake City. Gareth from Wales. Hopefully you can come back because I love talking about Wales, and I definitely want to do it again. and Ruth, Lori Sims, Paul, like anybody
thank you
that
so
I
much.
missed. Thank you guys so much. It's been a treat as always, and hopefully we can all hang out again soon.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye. Happy Sunday.